Good morning, Cardinals. The burning question I often get from students is, do I really need a resume to look for a job? Students come into the Career Center all the time asking me to help them look for a job or get a job. My first question for students is always, do you have a resume? Students always ask me, do I really need a resume to apply for a job? And my answer always is no, but it can make a difference between getting an interview and ultimately landing a job or not. And then they say, what can I put on a resume when I've never had a job before? I want to help you with that.
Hi, I'm Amy. I work at Snagajob, and today we're going to talk about how to find a job. Specifically, we're going to talk about how do I get a job when I don't have any experience? We hear this question a lot from first-time job seekers, teenagers, and folks that don't think they have any job experience. Do you really not have any job experience? Think about it. You probably have done some volunteering, lawn care for the next door neighbor, babysat for somebody up the street. These jobs are perfectly fine to include on an entry-level resume, so don't discount the experience that you have from working those positions. One job seeker that we met actually was 15 and looking for her first job, and she used her experience baking biscuits with her family every Sunday morning to apply to a biscuit making job. That's perfect. That is the kind of initiative that employers want to see in a first-time job hunter. They're looking for somebody who's smart and who can apply themselves, and in this instance, she already had specific experience doing the job that they were looking for. Look for any skill or experience you can highlight. Just because you weren't paid for it doesn't mean it's not valuable to employers. For most entry-level jobs or summer jobs, employers are really looking for a great attitude. So make sure you bring that and bring whatever experience you already have, and you should be pretty well set.
Where to begin with creating your resume? In Naviance, under the About Me tab, in the section Interesting Things About Me is the link to begin this process. Students will always ask me, do I really need to use Naviance to create my resume? No, my answer is you don't, but there are several reasons why I think you should. The first one is you want to make sure that your resume is there and you'll know where to retrieve it again. The second reason is through Naviance you can make several different resumes for different purposes. You would need a resume if you're applying for scholarships, different internships, volunteer pieces where people want to know more about you. So your resume is a useful tool for that. Sessions for creating your resume, are you in? I tell students they need to begin putting together their resume by themselves, and then we will sit, edit, and modify your resume for your intended purpose. I will do the same for all students. I've thought about having an after-school or Saturday session creating my resume. Let me know if this is something you'd be interested in attending, and we can schedule an event.
Have a good one. Today we're going to go over a few tips on how you can format your resume. That's coming up. Hey guys, I'm Kim with Snagajob, your #1 source for hourly jobs, and welcome to our weekly job search advice show. So I know I don't have to tell you this, but resumes are so important when it comes to searching for jobs. I mean, essentially, this is one of the first impressions you'll give employers as to why you'd make the best fit for that position. But where should you even start? Here are some of the most common questions we get asked about formatting resumes.
How long should my resume be?
Keep your resume between 1 to 2 pages. You can probably fit everything in that space, and you don't want to overwhelm the employer by making it too long.
Should I have an objective statement?
They are really not necessary. Objective statements are kind of lame, outdated, and kind of predictable. I mean, the objective is to get a job, right? So think about, instead of having an objective statement, make a skills summary on the top of your resume to show the employer all of your strengths.
What about my references?
You shouldn't include your references on your actual resume, but you should definitely bring them with you and give them to an employer. So create a separate document with your references listed.
Is my email address really that important?
I cannot tell you just how important your email address is. We get some pretty sketchy email addresses that we see from job seekers, and that can really scare an employer. I suggest creating a separate email account just for your job search, just simply your first name and your last name. This way you'll have all your job search emails in one place.
What's the absolute biggest resume mistake?
Employers tell us that typos on their resumes is one of the biggest mistakes that job seekers can make. It sends an automatic red flag to the employer that makes it look like you could be a little careless on the job if you're that careless on your resume. I suggest having a friend or family member read over your resume to see if you missed anything. I do this all the time, and I can't tell you how many little things I've missed. Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like
Once your resume is complete, use your resume to complete and submit employment applications. Many employers request you to submit your employment application online. You would also upload your resume into their application. Employers call me regularly about job openings. I post these openings on the wall outside 212 in the week and in the weekly newsletter, e-news. Stop by regularly to check who's hiring. I also recommend some job search sites through Craigslist, Indeed, and Snagajob. I also have created little cards that you see here that you can pick up in the Career Center. Next week we'll be looking at do's and don'ts in job interviewing. I also want to make you aware of Road Trip Nation, which is a Naviance piece as well under the Career tab. Check it out. Here's how it all began.
I think for me in school, I just felt like I was living in a box that I couldn't find my own individual identity in.
I was never smart enough. I never applied myself.
I would say it wasn't that you weren't smart enough, it was probably you just weren't connecting with what style of learning was there, you know?
Yeah. I didn't know how it connected to the real world.
Yeah, I just remember being really bored in school. It just all felt so theoretical, and you just kind of were learning it and always asking, like, why? Why do I have to learn this? You know, like, why do I have to learn the quadratic formula? And we all just felt that we needed to get out of there and see the world and see what was possible.
And then it was kind of just those fun little brainstorms that you have of like, wow, could we travel across the country and meet with different people that are living different lives that we had never been exposed to.
We just felt like we had nothing, so we had nothing to lose. So I think that gave us like an attitude to just kind of, you know, go for it.
Are you film students? No. Are you film buffs? No. Do you have any clue what you're... No, not a...
Just push the big end, and you're recording again. I'm recording again. Okay. How do you push stop on this thing?
How do you hit record off? This RV was from Brian's parents. We bought the tax write-off for.
You know, I mean, we always talk about the motorhome, but the road trip really wasn't about the motorhome. It was really about those interviews. We wanted to meet the lobstermen on the coast of Maine. We wanted to interview the designers of Burton snowboards and the National Geographic photographer, and that's what the trip was really about.
This was our dilemma when we graduated from college. All the four of us had ever been exposed to were these roads that had been totally laid out for us. To see what else was out there, we decided to take a road trip across the entire nation for over 15,000 miles to interview leaders from all walks of life and learn how they defined their own roads in life.
I think I was totally displaced. I had no idea what I would do. I think I had a lot of fear and trepidation and insecurity about how it would all turn out. I think sometimes the difference between winning and losing and success and failure is this gray line between will, passion, and self-belief that I'm going to do this.
You know, some people are ready right out of high school to go and jump in. They know what they want to do, and they've never changed their mind. You know, I'm still working out what I want to do.
I thought the whole purpose of the game was to convince other people I was good. You know, I spent all my time and energy compelling others to believe that I was good at what I was doing. And after college, I think I had this realization that it wasn't about that. It was about convincing myself that I was good at whatever I was going to do.
We pulled up into Dell headquarters in his RV. A security guard comes out, state trooper, and they're like, we'd like to know what y'all are doing. And Nate's like, we're meeting Michael Dell. And they're like, yeah. You know?
You got to be yourself. You know, if you want to conform, then you know that may be fine for you. But you know, I wouldn't have done well in a place where I had to conform because I would have always been resisting. I still do it today.
All right, everybody in.
Everybody get out of my way. What I did is a series of many odd jobs. You know, I worked in a music store. I did all of these different jobs, none of which were very gratifying. And at night, I did what I really wanted to do, which was watch television. They're gonna be fine. Just watch this. This is what it is. It's just getting behind the wheel and going.
It's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. Up here, measuring lobsters.
That's awesome.
And I wouldn't do anything else given the choice.
So you feel lucky?
Oh, I know I'm lucky. Definitely.
You only know what you know, right? Whatever the environment that I've been raised in is what I know. But what is that thing that brings you joy? Where's your joy at? What really brings you joy? And I think a lot of times you go to college and you're not searching for your joy. Or you're not told that. Search for a job. Search for a career. But you can get all that if you're on the right path.
We were on the book tour and we were doing all this press and we got it in the Today Show and a crazy thing that started happening was that the press was not looking at like the stories that we had and the very thing that we wanted to share, which was the experience, they were looking at us. And we kept pushing back saying like we were nobody, like we just figured this out and anybody else can do it. And that was really that frustration between people not getting it that then ultimately pushed us to realize that we've got to share this experience in a tangible way and put other people on the road in the same way in which we did our own road trip. And we had just a few dollars left in the bank. And we figured that that was just enough to be able to fly some other road trippers out, put them in the RV and say, here's the keys, go where you want to go, interview the people you want to, and we'll film that experience.
We're really just trying to like get your story in relation to the kind of confusion that we're experiencing now.
I think that it was probably more important than anything that I could have learned from hearing a lecture or reading a textbook or doing a math problem.
It's changed my ideas about a lot of things. I realized that you have much more choice and freedom than I thought you did.
The people that think out of the box in whatever discipline they're in are the ones that shape the world.
This trip is one of self-discovery, finding the nature of the terrain on which the journey will make you truly happy. Not with what you're doing, but with who you are.
If you want to be like Muhammad Ali, you can be, but will you do the work to be like him? You know what I mean? That's what it is.
I had to prove to my family that a decision I had made was good.
It's almost ridiculous that I've allowed myself to not achieve my dreams when I only have one shot at this life.
So that's when we started thinking, wow, what if Road Trip Nation could be this real grassroots movement? And so we started the Indie Road Trip program as a way for us to give grants to other students who could build their own trips, go out in their own cars, go on trains, go on bikes, walk down the street. We realized it wasn't really about the green motorhome. It was really more about interacting with these leaders and learning from their personal stories and seeing how they got to where they are. We also started educating ourselves on some of the data on America's current educational system and how the #1 reason why students are dropping out is because school wasn't relevant or connected to real-world learning opportunities. That was a big reason why we hit the road in the first place. And if we had this world of Road Trip Nation, all this content over here, and then this demographic of students over here who were in school, disengaged, maybe they had lost hope for their futures, and they're just trying to figure out what's out there. If we could bridge that gap, the relevance of our work could really go over the fence.
Looking back on the Road Trip Nation experience, it wasn't a big step for us to get into packaging a road trip that would walk other people through a step-by-step, experience.
So it's
Check out the over 3,500 videos and stories about people across our country, their careers, their choices, and their decision making as they have continued on their journey of life. You can locate it in Naviance under the career tabs at the very bottom. Thanks very much, guys. Have a great day.